had all of the work session. Before we get started, I'm going to ask Alderman Alder to lead us in prayer, please.
All right, let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you so much for your many blessings and just ask that you be with this board this morning to help us make the best decisions possible for this community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. We're here. Mayor Busnak couldn't be with us today in person, but he is with us on Zoom. We have Alderman Martinez, Alderman Alder, myself, Danny Bryant, Vice Mayor, Alderman Small, and Alderman Hart. Alderman Allen could not be with us because of prior commitments. We have John Hill, the city attorney, and we have Scott Collins, the city administrator. With that being said, has everyone had a chance to look at the June minutes? Is there any additions, any issues with those minutes?
I didn't have any.
No.
Okay. Okay, those minutes will stand as printed. This morning we have some guests. The first guest we have this morning is Mr. Michael Dempsey with the Fayetteville Lincoln County Industrial Board, and he is here to give us some information. Mr. Dempsey.
Thank you. Just sort of want to give you a little update as far as where we are as Industrial Development Board and also what we're currently facing. I believe you were sent a handout previously. I hope you've had the opportunity to look through it, so I'm going to go through it. And I won't touch on everything. I'll try to be brief because I know your time is valuable. But I'll definitely hit the highlights and answer any questions that you may have. As you'll see, of course, we have 5 industrial parks, what we consider industrial parks in Lincoln County. Majority of them centered around the city of Fayetteville. The next page you'll see is our Runway Center. That's one of our newest parks out just south of Park City. There's currently 8 lots there. Out of those lots, you can see that there are 6 of them have currently been spoken for, either with a building or with plans for a building. You'll see lot 8 is currently our 200 square foot pad ready site. We built that through grant funds over the last year and a half. We currently have prospects looking at it. So it's a pad ready site ready for a building to go on. So there's no other construction needs to be made for that site. Then there's site 4, which is available. It's an 8-acre site that we're considering or currently pursuing a grant to do a 100 square foot pad ready site, and that's about all that'll fit on that little 8-acre site there in the back, and maybe possibly a spec building. As you know, our current spec building is under contract, so we have no other buildings available at the moment. The remaining sites there, you'll see they're Hairtech. Of course, it's our flagship spot out there. We're very pleased to have them. It's a great looking building sitting out there, and for everybody to see. Lot 7, that land is currently under contract, and they're doing their due diligence. So out of the lots that we have there, we have 2 available for buildings, and one has we've currently got a substantial amount of work on. So that 110 acres quickly filled up. And when you're talking about space and potential for buildings, from 50,000 square foot to larger, you're looking at several acres. So that's what we currently have available south part of the county. And the next page just sort of shows the where we are on that park, the amount of money that's been both spent, sold, and generated. I'll point out at the bottom that our total investment in that park is just under $700,000. To date, we've sold $495,000 worth of land. That's without the current pending sale on lot 7, which is another $145,000. And the amount of grants for infrastructure and for to help the Hairtech and so forth out there is about almost $4 million. So that's what's been generated out of that 110 acres on Runway Center. Next is our Bullington Industrial Park, which are one of our older parks, which of course holds Gregory and Frankie and the college. As you'll see, the outlined in yellow there's one possible potential site left there. There's a lot of The land doesn't lay very well, so we don't know what, if possible, we could do there, or what it would take to make it available to be able to construct on. But that is something that we would have to do due diligence on to see if it's available, based on slope, rock, and so forth. And of course, in the blue outline there, it's not developable. Based on slope and rock, it would take more money to make it feasible to build on than it would be worth. Next, you'll see our Federal Industrial Park, which of course holds Grammar, JCF Housements, currently Copperweld, and that's where our current spec building is that we have under contract. There are a couple of lots there. There's a site in the back at the end of the cul-de-sac that we've done due diligence on. It's a hidden 10-acre site is what we've called it. And it is not feasible for development. After we've gotten back the studies, after 6 inches of boring, they hit limestone all over the property, which again would be very, very expensive to do any work with. There's a potential site across from JCF Housements that we haven't done due diligence on yet. As you can see there's some slope issues that feed into that property, so we don't know what exactly we could do there. And then, of course, we have the large plot on the front, which is sort of a premier site. It's the old house site that we currently are doing due diligence on, and we expect that back anytime within the next month or so to see what's possible there. And it is a rather large site. It would be a premier site that we could get upwards to 500,000 square foot on. So that would be a great site if everything comes back. Of course, looking at the lay of the land there, it does have some slope, and you can see rocks jutting out. We don't know if those are boulders or if they're, underlying conditions there, but hopefully with our due diligence, we'll find that out. And then just informational, when you look at Wilson Parkway, the currently industrial buildings there, the old Daikin building, Rep Coal is in, and it's sort of under some co-lease arrangements with some others. The old range plant, Frito-Lay is currently leasing for extra space. The old Lee Jean building, somebody has purchased that back in May, and they're doing some construction on that. But again, you're looking at an older building that has some low ceilings, so it'd be sort of hands tied on what you could actually put in there as far as investor or buildings. And then you got your Frito-Lay Industrial Park, which we're proud to have. Frito-Lay is a great partner with Lincoln County and Fayetteville. And you got Connor Industries and Dave's Truck Repair. So Frito-Lay has extra land for their future expansion. So that's sort of already spoken for, but it's a great plot of land, and we're pleased that they have it. So that leads us basically is where do we go from here? We're sort of running out of spots. So where do we go? What do we need? When you think of industrial sites, you think of infrastructure. You really need a 4-lane highway. You need industrial grade utilities. You need wastewater and sewer. You need high-speed internet. And you need some good flat land, basically. So when you look at where we could go, we thought about maybe west on 64. We've got a good 4-lane out there. We don't quite have the utilities that's needed. You would have to run sewer, wastewater, and I think high-speed internet is currently out there. You've got the creek to go across the bridge, and you've got a lot of rock and a lot of hill slope that direction. So right now, that's not a very feasible way. North, I've got some land in Petersburg. It's not feasible. There's not a 4-lane. Matter of fact, I thought I might be late this morning because it was just 2-lane and slow traffic heading this direction. And again, no industrial grade utilities. You consider going further east from where our current industrial parks are out on 64 and Frito-Lay. We've looked at some sites out there. There are some sites still on this side of the river. We've had some discussions. It's family land. They're not looking to sell currently. Then you go across the river. There's a few more sites out there. Again, you're looking at infrastructure. We have a 4-lane. We have power, but we don't have sewer. And that's a big expense. We also, you'd be looking at land that has quite a bit of flood zone to it. So you're looking at spots that have 220 acres, but only have 60 acres of usable land for development. We asked FPU to give us some estimates on what it would cost to actually get infrastructure there, so we would have some idea of what we're looking at. And I think you can see on the next, the next page shows the 3 lots that we're actually had considered. And then the next page shows what it would cost just to get utilities to that side. And you're looking at just under $7.5 million, with major expense being water and wastewater. And that's not including purchasing any land. So, then you've got the land, you got the lay of the land, and you got the infrastructure to get into the land from there. So that's rather daunting when you look at trying to find some spots to look. So then we look south. There's a piece of property in the southern part of the county that has come available. It's 130 acres. It's relatively flat. It's got infrastructure on it. You got the 4-lane. You got water, sewer. It's got a sewer lift station on the property there. High-speed internet, gas. It's all there to the property. This site was evaluated in 2016 by the state of Tennessee when we were looking at possible sites, and they kept coming back to this site as being our best option. And so over the past several years, we've been looking at different options, just trying to figure out where we're going to go, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to get caught without having anything. Because the time it takes to develop and get infrastructure, get roads, get permits and everything, you're looking at 18 to 24 months, even if you had a piece of property, to get it ready to have somebody come in. So we're looking at this piece of property. It's for sale. The asking price is $3.6 million. Now it's South Lincoln County. It's farmland currently. We've asked for a 6-month option on this piece of property, so we could do due diligence and see if it's available. We think we could hit that window just because this land has been used as farm for as long as I know. Hasn't had other uses for it, so environmental and so forth should be clean. The lay of the land looks good as far as slope and so forth. So what we are looking for is direction, basically, as Industrial Development Board, because we have 3 options, as I see it. We can stay pat where we are, continue filling out what the left lots that we have, and then hope for the best from there, and maybe recycle some other buildings that we currently have, like the Dyken building when it came up. We can look elsewhere. We're all citizens here of Lincoln County and Fayetteville, so I don't know every piece of property that's around, but when you start driving out the 4 lanes and looking at places that are possible, there's not a lot that look good, but if somebody else knows of something, we'll be glad to listen. I would hate to put out a feeler saying the Industrial Development Board is looking for land, because then I think people would be looking for a blank check. They know that you're looking, and they know what they think you can pay. Or we can go with this property and get ready for some future needs. This property is desirable. It does have other offers on it. Developers out of Huntsville have made at least 2 offers on this property that I know of. It's a great location. You talk about possibly feeding the industries we currently have in Huntsville, Mazda, Toyota, and some of those places. If an industry is looking to get into Tennessee and stay out of Alabama taxes and still feed those, it's a direct line. They don't have to come through the city itself. They don't have to go out to 65 to get around, and they have a 4-lane all the way to it. So again, basically we're looking for direction. We've presented to the county the other night. Of course, the Industrial Development Board, we don't have a way of funding this ourselves. So we're just looking for some direction in what you're looking for. How would you like for us to proceed?
Alderman Martinez, do you have any questions or comments?
This is my first rodeo with this kind of park, but how many spec buildings do we have available right now?
Well, we only have 1 spec building that's currently contracted. built it, we started in August of last year. It's not quite finished, but it's already under contract.
And that runway center, it's full, it's filling up.
Well, like I said, there's two lots there. One of them currently has a 200,000 square foot pad ready site, which was, I think we had about a $500,000 grant
$757,000
in grant funds to do that, so it really was no funds of ours. But again, it's a pad ready site, so there's no development that has to be done for somebody to come in. We currently have somebody looking at it. It's down, very short decision time, and we hope to hear something on that very soon, which will be a great for our city and county. And then the other site that's in the back, we currently are applying for a grant to do due diligence on it, or to actually build a 100,000 square foot pad on it, which gets you ahead. I mean, there's lots of companies when they come looking, you know, they would like a building, but then if you've got to do the grade and bring in the rock, you know, that's going to put them 6 months behind even before they even start a building. So we hope to have that already ready and planned for them.
Alder, do you have any comments or questions?
I mean, I think it's a good site right there, being right there close to the state line. And we're getting a whole lot of looks from folks, as you mentioned, Toyota, Mazda, things like that, or people, we're getting a lot of, gotcha. What is the acreage in the current park out there in Park City? I know this one's 131. Do you know?
Current one, Runway Center was 110 acres.
110, okay.
Currently, we've had some, not due diligence, but we've had, when the state looked at it, I believe they could get possibly 8 spec buildings.
They've got, the design I got last night, TPA did, it's got 6 buildings on that site. It's got one 60,000 square foot. It's got 3 200,000 square foot, a 333,000 square foot, and a 120,000 square foot building on that property line. Out of that 130 acres, all but 10 acres is developed.
So we can do a lot of bigger things there too. Bigger companies could come in.
You know, and of course, as you said, even with the pandemic, it seems that things have not slowed down on the building side.
Right.
We've gotten requests continuously. Now, some of them are requests that we would never be able to get. You know, a 500-acre greenfield site. We're not going to have that.
Right.
There's a few places that have that. But we've gotten just a lot of requests for information. Even, like I said, even through the pandemic, it hasn't slowed down, which is great. You know, it shows people are not concerned about the economy, not concerned about going forward, and looking to continue their building and their investments.
And I think if the state came in and said this is the place that's got it all, and as you mentioned, all the things that go with it, the access, the utilities and everything already out there, I think that y'all are on the right one. So, I mean,
It's a discussion now.
right. I mean, I know that's what I'm saying. I'm good with where they're at. I mean, I don't think they ought to be looking elsewhere on.
Which is a good discussion.
Right.
It's not.
The size of this property here, and I know you could get an offer for the whole 131 acres. About how many lots could you get out of this if you had to break it up?
Elaine, you want to come on up? We'll hear you. Here's the microphone. Don't mind. Should be able to stand, so I'll take you up here, so get her on the mic.
I'd rather have her up here anyway.
Yeah, the layout that we got from TBA last night has got 6 buildings on it.
Okay.
And they range from 60,000 to 333,000 square feet.
60 to 333.
Yes, ma'am.
One more question. The property up 64 where the house was demolished up there, is that a potential site in itself?
It is. We're currently doing due diligence on it. We've already got that set. We're hoping to hear back from that within the next month or so. They've already done bores.
Yeah, our
so-
geotechnical's been done,
I
the
might miss
topo
that.
mapping has been done. We did a receptivity testing on that. So we're just waiting on those reports to come back to let us know what's underneath the soil.
Okay. And the size of that again?
We're roughly looking at 30-acre site
But that site, we've had some preliminary layouts on there, and we've been able to get a 500,000 square foot building on that site. So
I see.
that would be the grand site in that industrial park.
And it would be, yeah, because it could be seen from the road, it'd be a very good entrance site for somebody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate the work that y'all do and continue to do. I know we've been looking for something for a long time, and like you've spoken, going out west, we run into a lot of issues there. This seems like the ideal site. I wish it were closer to town, but we don't get to choose those things. So I think it looks like a good potential site. I mean, a lot less work that maybe we have to do on this. So,
Well, we're in discussion right now. Mayor, who's that? You have any questions or comments?
I would say, I'll let the board know that this is something that came up quickly, within the last week or so. I had a call from a commissioner, that told us about this. Michael and Elaine are correct in the fact that this is the most opportune site in regards to utilities, gas, telecommunications, anything. They've looked, it's been very expensive if you go east, and it's even more expensive if you go west out toward exit 14. So basically what they're asking the board is, is the city willing to go in and help out buy the property? That's isn't that correct, Michael and Lane? That's really one of the reasons you're coming forward, is to ask. And then what percentage of does the city pitch in on the property?
That'd be correct.
Thank you. City Administrator Collins, do you have any comments on this at this time? No, sir. What got my interest was your 6-month option. Have you got that 6-month option, or you just trying to get that 6-month option?
We have a verbal commitment on that. We're drafting documents right now.
So we're going to need to know for sure when you get that, because we're going to need some time. This will have to go through our normal process. It'll have to go through finance. It'll have to go through work sessions. It'll have to go through the board. It'll have to go through all the processes we got. That being said, I don't have anything else. If no one has anything else on this, we appreciate you coming and talking to us.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Back anytime.
Thank you.
All right, next up, let's see, we've got, we're going to have a report from Kevin McAllister of Mars Designs. He's going to come and give us a report on where we're at with all of the situation, what the deals that they're doing for us. Projects.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to come talk to you today. Let's get our slideshow up here. I'll share the screen. Is it already sharing? Okay. All right.
Yeah. There we go.
Is the screen sharing with you, Mr. Mayor?
Good deal. I'll see close to you.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning. So I wanted to give you an update on the projects that we are working on for you. This is phase 2 of the Greenway Trail project. We are currently in the NEPA reevaluation stage, awaiting responses from the TDOT environmental group. Those were the reevaluation of the document was resubmitted to TDOT in May. We recently checked up with them on June the 30th, and they told us the document was nearing the top of the review queue. That's all they could tell us at that time. So we're hoping they'll get to it soon. Once we have their final responses, the reevaluation will be submitted to TDOT Environmental for approval. And then when we have that, it'll trigger a lot of other resubmittals and kind of reactivating the project. So we're going back to look at our plans and kind of updating those because sometimes the TDOT standards change. So we're in the process of doing that. We're updating our bid book and our cost estimate based on recent price changes, if anything has changed. And those will go back into TDOT again for re-review, and we are anticipating a quick review since they've already seen these plans and nothing has changed since the reevaluation period started. So we're hoping that will go a little faster, and then we will anticipate a notice to proceed to the construction phase. That's when they will reallocate funding for the project, and we can move forward with the advertisement and the bid phase. So a lot of dominoes will be falling once we get these approvals on the reevaluation on phase 2. All right. That leads us into phase 3. So we're also working in the NEPA phase on phase 3. We have received all of our agency coordination responses. Really want to brag on Lauren Gaines doing a great job with that for our team. She's really gotten this project through that NEPA phase quickly. We submitted the C list categorical exclusion on June 23rd. It's into TDOT Environmental for review. We did find out that this project will require a Section 4F letter. So what does that mean? That's a Section 4F coordination is required when a transportation facility passes through federal or state land, which we have here. We know that this property is owned by the state and maintained by the city. So that letter will require both parties to sign. We did that for phase 2. We have a draft copy. We're preparing a draft for this phase. Once we have that prepared, Scott, I'll send that to you for those signatures. We can turn that back to TDOT, and it will supplement our document that's already in review. It won't kick us to the back of the line. So we'll just add that to what's already there. The only downside to that is it will trigger a federal level review, and that may add 1 month to the process. So upcoming items for this project will be to finalize the preliminary design plans. Then once we start that process, we can begin the early utility coordination and discussion with property owners for right-of-way acquisition. We will request the city to prepare a check to submit to TDOT for the anticipated design costs moving forward once we do get that notice to proceed to design. That could be a 2 to 3 month process, so we would ask you to go ahead and start that now to keep the project on schedule instead of waiting for TDOT's approval and for them to ask for that check. That's something we can do to expedite the schedule while we're awaiting these approvals of NEPA. And I think that's it for phase 3. I'm happy to answer any questions along the way. I'll go ahead and hit the last slide about the soccer complex. I believe this one's under construction now and it's anticipated to be complete in August. Not a lot to report on this one since it's already in construction.
Vice Mayor, if I may add to Kevin's presentation, the soccer field in essence is complete.
Okay.
But now we're in that 60-day, for the lack of a better word, incubation period for the sod. And the company Baseline, they instructed us to not allow anybody on the field. Public Works went out and barricaded where nobody can be on it. The fencing is up, the sod is down, and for the next 60 days, Baseline will oversee the fertilizing, the watering, monitoring, and mowing.
All right.
We're
It's close, yeah.
Yes.
So I know I threw a lot of terms at you there for the Greenway projects, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to go back and answer those about those projects.
Anybody got any questions or comments?
I don't have any at this point. I feel like it brought us up to snuff where we,
On the harbor?
I don't have anything at this time.
I'm good.
We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
How to fix the screen back.
Take care.
We'll take just a second to get the mayor back up with us, and during that time, we'll ask Mr. Eddie Plunkett to come forward to give his report, Public Works Director. And since we've got a little time here also, Alden Martinez has already told me that he has to leave about 8:45, so he gets up and leaves just because he's got prior commitments.
Thank you, Danny. We have a contract that we need to sign with Croy Engineering on the sidewalks around the square, doing the engineering work. And we'll take this board's approval for Scott and myself to sign that.
I think that's $125,000, is that right? Yes. $125,000 to do all the engineering around the square and one block off the square in the south direction of the building. I think if you go on down there, you'll see it. But this will take board approval, so that means that we will have to take this to the board meeting next Tuesday night. Is everyone okay with taking it to the board meeting?
I am.
Yes.
Any objections? All right. We'll take it to the board meeting. All right, anything in the portion of Wood Drive?
Yes, sir, and they come out of the Public Works Committee to name the street West Side. I talked with 911. They said West Side needs to be all one word because when you put the west first, it's a directional sign then. And he says it's a headache to get it changed.
Now, we didn't make any decisions on this. So there was a lot of different endurer. We have one endurer. I can see why that was. We've endured enough for the past couple of years in the community. That wasn't a bad one. We had Champion, we had several different ones, and we kind of kicked around the area it's really in. It's on the west side of town. It's on the west side of town. We had to kind of stay away from proper names because it's so close to the soccer field. Even though it's a public road, that soccer field has some restrictions. So we just kind of brought that forward as West Side Drive. How's everybody feel about it? If they don't feel good about it, we'll go another month.
I like it. It's very neutral.
I'm fine with it.
You fine?
I like it. I think it's good.
Okay.
I like it one word too, because I was wondering about the west being a directional. So,
Well, we're going to need to take this also to Tuesday night to vote on this. Is everybody okay with that? Any objections to just to vote on? All right. Anything else?
The only thing else is we're going to have to be considering buying a garbage truck. The newest one we got is down. Had a tech come out of Nashville yesterday to see what was wrong with it. He spent about 3 hours and he said he don't know.
Okay.
After it gets hot, it shuts off and won't start till it cools back off. And, the oldest one, it's 4 years old, and the other one is 7, going on 8 years old. So
You might go ahead and tell the board when we buy these brand new vehicles exactly what we're getting.
junk.
Okay.
But we ain't got no choice. I mean,
It's an ongoing issue. Quality is an ongoing issue. We know that, we'll be talking a little bit about another piece of equipment here in a little bit. And this is some things that needs to be brought forward to the board quicker rather than later. The sooner we know about these things, what we're going to be facing is a better, and Eddie did mention this to us already in Public Works. This is a matter of information right now. So we'll come back to the public works and we'll go through finance and we'll go on with it. But right now, it's just a matter of information. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right.
Danny, if you don't mind, can I say something? We did have spillage on the garbage truck in Twin Oaks. I know you had work repaired and on the garbage trucks and everything.
week?
There's a lot in other parts of the town too. That's the reason I asked you the other day, because it's sloppy.
That truck's
everywhere.
supposed to been fixed.
Yeah, I
mean,
understand.
it's been
Yeah.
3
but
weeks in the
there's
shop.
quite a few dirty spots in a lot of places.
I'll have to keep a check on it. The way it's raining, if they don't keep the garbage can lids shut, that water's got to go somewhere. A truck can only hold so much. When it gets all it can get, it's got to come out. So, I mean, we put new gaskets on it and had the tailgate rebuilt, and I don't know what that's gonna cost. But other than that, I don't know what else to do. Just ask people to keep their lids closed on their garbage cans.
Some of it's impossible though. Some of them are
And
full.
lawn and stuff, well, it's not only that, but Mother Nature, the wind and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
very
there's
cool.
nothing happening.
You know, them cans, there's 99 gallon cans.
Yeah.
So
And I
you
see a lot of them
take 50
with
gallon of
lids.
water in each one of them.
Right.
It don't take but a few and the truck's full.
What happens with mine is when the wind gets out of the west, it blows the top up. And it rains, it fills it up with water.
I
I'm sure
see.
that's what's going on.
I see a lot that are over full. You know, they
Yes, ma'am.
can't close their lids at all, so I understand that.
But we've done all we can do so far, but we'll monitor and see what's going on. We can try to come up with something
Anybody
else.
else got anything for you? Mayor, you have anything for Eddie? You have anything
No
for
to
Eddie?
the garbage truck.
What'd he say?
No to the garbage truck.
Haul it yourself
I'm
then.
in town for 1 week. It's like I gotta have garbage.
You'll have to haul it off yourself then.
Thank
you.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, do we have Chief Howell here? I can't see.
Yeah, he's coming.
Back here on the screen. He can back here report on, you do the police and then we get through that, just go around and move on into the fire. That work? You know.
You can't tell.
Well, that's what you're doing him. All right, you go right ahead.
The police department have 2 permits, Slauburger Festival permit on 8/21 and also have the Hosted Christmas Pass for 11/12 for approval.
All right, we're gonna have to take both of these to the board separately for approval. Does anybody object to taking these to the board? Both of them?
I don't.
Any objection? Any comments? All right. Move right on.
Fire department. I've asked police and fire to move forward on the process of purchasing a new fire truck if the board has an interest. Engine 2 is still down, been down. I'd have to go back and look. I'm gonna say 4 or 5 weeks. Power steering pump's supposed to be in today or tomorrow. We still looking another week to get it installed, and then it has to go to Brindley Mountain for front end rebuilt. It's just a guess. 5 more, 6 more weeks of it being down. We're still running the 308, the 98 model. So that's where we're at with engine 2.
This is information only right now. We talked about this, but I don't, is anybody here from that committee? Police and Fire Committee? You're on the Police and Fire Committee.
I thought we had brought it up in finance about, to go push on finance about the purchase of a new vehicle, start the process.
Yeah, and also, we talked about the rebuilding of this. The rebuilding of this unit would be like about $140,000, $150,000, $160,000.
141, a little over $141,000.
So the thinking on that kind of is, my thoughts was up front, why do you want to do that if you're going to get a new fire truck? Well, a new fire truck will be a year down the road. It's going to take a long time to get it built. We're not going to do anything anyway till the new fire chief gets here, specs it out. We're not going to run ahead of him. I don't think. That's what I'm hearing now, coming out of your committee. We're not going to do that. But the idea was, you at least get this truck in a good enough condition that we could use it as a backup, or if we did sell it, then we could probably recoup our money we put into it. So I think it's a good plan that you're coming out with. But this is a matter of information, just to let the board know that we're facing somewhere probably over $600,000 Well, if we rebuild that truck, you're looking around 700,000 probably time to rebuild and buy one.
But like Chief was saying though, I think it's not so much the money thing, it's the downtime, because we
Right.
don't know the part, the issue with parts across the board on every part of equipment.
The downtime is rough, and I'm just estimating a new truck is 650. My thinking there is if you can get a brand new truck, let's say 575, and then equipment, just an estimate of 650 just for a new truck. Then the refurb engine 2 is a little over 141,000.
So, you know, it just, the scenario going on here is, we look at a new fire truck, we look at a new garbage truck, you're talking about $1 million. That's what you're talking about right there. Right up, you're talking about $1 million. Can we do that? Yes, we can. We can do that because, being on finance, two of us is here on, three of us is here on finance, and the mayor, and we know that we're in a good financial position in order to take care of situations like this. It's just a matter of doing it at the right time, that's what it is. So, and I think, you know, good time to take it. So, that's a matter of information, then you've got something else.
Last one I have is oath of office for 2 fire department employees for Tuesday night.
This will have to go to the board, it'll have to be, do we have to vote on this, that oath of office, is that just, it just goes to the board?
Just go to the board.
It just goes to the board to do, so, if no objections, Mayor Wisniak, you have anything for the police chief?
No, just to commend all departments that helped out on the spirit of independence that we had a week or so ago. All of the police was either at that event or working town, and a lot of the fire department out there, and just extend that to all, plus the city employees that worked that event too. So that's always a little bit of a strain, but it was well worth it, and I've got nothing but great compliments about that event, so I'd like to thank the chief for that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next on the agenda, the Parks and Recs, Mr. Howard Thompson, Director.
Morning.
Good morning.
So we're gonna keep this nice. I think we have 2 items in front of you right now. On that, it's the lifeguards trying to raise their pay and trying to get reimbursements for their training course that they took. I think you guys already spoke about that. The second one was our seasonal and part-time staff. We're trying to add back a center attendant and a seasonal utility worker. The seasonal utility worker will just be someone, male or female, we have in the evenings who will they'll do the water out here, as well as they'll clean our bathrooms, do our trash, and lock our bathrooms up at night in the evening. And they'll take care of anything that we have to be done on the maintenance side after our maintenance guys leave. Because we have a lot of things that happen that we need taken care of that in the evenings. Those are basically what that position will be doing. The center attendant, the department had one previous, and after that position left, we took that and made that it was made a maintenance position for a gentleman who was inside maintenance, a facilities maintenance gentleman. But now we're trying to bring it back to actually have someone sitting in our front desk to absolutely take care of our administration work at the front desk that needs to be done. Someone who will answer the phone, someone who would help us on the opposite side of things that we have. So those right there, those 2 positions, I believe that we sent out a list of just kind of a few pointers of what the person will be doing. Right now we have our recreation aides doing that. Our recreation aides are our lifeguards and our concession workers. They will be leaving at the end of this month on the 30th. A lot of their availability goes away because they start school on the 7th. We have a few that want to work in the evenings, and we have 1 or 2 that want to work on weekends, so we'll utilize them in that capacity. But we want to get someone who can work absolutely during the day while we're there trying to get things squared away at the front desk. That gives us a lot more time to do what we that has to be done for our department. And I'd say that our department is growing. We've made huge footsteps. Right now, like I said, when we started, we was in newborn foot shoes. Now we're kind of in toddler shoes, but we are making huge steps, and our department is growing, and we're offering all types of things. So I just wanted to go over that first, ladies and gentlemen, about that. All right.
Excuse me,
Yes,
before
ma'am.
you move on, could you explain a little bit to us about the difference in the seasonal and the part-time workers?
Yes, ma'am. Our seasonal workers are 6 months. We're allowed them to work 6 months. They are allowed to work 6 months out of the year. They are allowed, if I'm not wrong, they are allowed to work 30 plus hours.
They're allowed to work over, ultimately as many hours
Okay.
as they need to.
That right there are our seasonal workers. Our part-time workers, we keep them underneath 30 hours, and they can work basically all year round. So that's the difference between those.
And there was a question about a line item being added to the budget, moving on, for seasonal workers to be added. Am I right, Stacy?
I believe a couple years ago, we added that line for concession salaries because that was what we were using it for at the time, kind of transitioning that from concessions specifically to, part-time seasonal work.
Okay, and
all the way around.
am I to understand that this saves money?
Yes, ma'am. What we're trying to do right now with our part-time and our seasonal employees, what we have, of course, we have a few seasonal employees. What we did was recreation aides, and when we did recreation aides, we did concessions and we did lifeguards. We could use these young people throughout the year instead of adding extra staff members on, especially because right now we don't have seasonal maintenance workers. So if we had seasonal maintenance workers as well, then what we could do is have those people help out with our maintenance department because after May, it takes off. Our grass takes off, and right now we're trying to, instead of hiring extra people like a full-time staff person, we can hire these seasonal people to come in and just help us out throughout that time. They work 6 months and then they're gone, and we might be able to get them back in for another 6 months after that. We're looking at these kids. What we do is that a lot of our seasonal positions will be probably college students, high school students, people who just want summer jobs that we can absolutely give the jobs that are different than what we have our other staff members do. They kind of knock out a lot of other things that we have to be done around our facility and around our parks. With our seasonal, right now we think we have our seasonal right now as our lifeguards because they are all going over hours because there was the bucket that we had of them was only like 9, but they're all working over their hours, so we had to switch them to seasonal so they could work over those hours, the ones that were over 16. But if we have a few of them that are over age, next year we're going to try to get them part-time so we can actually use them as in our, our Halloween, as well as our Christmas events, as well as our major events that we have. It'll be good for us to have those employees to utilize all year round.
There was a few questions, and I thought that would clear some of the questions that we had yesterday at that meeting, the difference in it and the potential to save money.
Yes, ma'am.
On those positions. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Up to this point, do you have any questions or comments?
I do. Are these positions, asking for this part-time position, would this be a new, I know we've had it in the past, but since we took that position, filled it with someone else, is this something we'll have to vote on, putting this position back in?
Yes, sir, it would be a budget amendment.
Okay, budget amendment, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna get to this in a little bit on what all we need to send on to the board.
Okay, and if we have to do that, is the money in the budget, or would this be something we have to add to the budget?
It would be added to the budget.
Okay. That's all I have.
Alder, do you have any?
I'm good.
This, well, I have a little bit here.
Yes, sir.
These items, first I'll say this, I'll be sure you're okay with this now. To be clear, what we're talking about here is the lifeguard pay going from $7.50 to $9, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so to be clear on that, I think that's a good move.
Yes, sir.
I had another suggestion in Public Works, and I don't know if I need to bring it up now, but I just go ahead and do it anyway. Well, Mayor getting nervous here now, probably, but anyway. It was brought up in Public Works. Some of this hit Public Works, kind of. And, well, maybe finance, maybe that's where it was, maybe both. Anyway, these lifeguards has to paid like $135 to get certified, is that right?
Yes, sir, between 135, well, it's between, if you are recertifying, it's $100. If you're getting a new certification, it's $150, from $130 to $150.
Okay. So, and right now, they're having to travel
Total.
to town, which we hope maybe they do it later here.
Yes, sir.
To me, I mean, the way the labor market is now, it's probably going to be this way for a while. I think the $9 an hour I'm good with. I would be good with a little bit more, but it seems to me that it might be worth considering through your committee. I don't know that you've got any committee members here right now or not, but at least be considering maybe because we've had such a hard time getting lifeguards. That might continue. I don't know why we as a city would not be reimbursing as long as they would fulfill that year of lifeguard. We'd be sure they have to fulfill that year of being a lifeguard. I don't know why we wouldn't consider reimbursing these young people for the cost of that certification. Because I think it's going to get harder and harder to get these lifeguards. That would be something that would help a whole lot in your department, but that's not before us today.
Yes, sir.
That is not before us today. That's just some discussion that maybe y'all want to kind of kick around this committee and bring back to the board. The board might not even like it, I don't know.
Yes, sir.
But I think it's something to consider.
I think you're on the same page as us, with us and our committee. We spoke about it, our department has spoke about it. That's one of the things that we have spoke about, and we are trying to consider right now as being probably the smartest thing that we can go forward with our lifeguards. As well as we do come in situations where when we do send these lifeguards off to other places to get trained, they are recruited. Because for one, they're getting paid more there. For two, they wouldn't have to work so hard there at those different locations. So it'll be good to be able to keep it in-house.
These are young people. These are just very young people. They're, and it's, I can see where it would be a burden maybe on some to, I don't know whether you'd want to consider paying for it up front or the stipulation that they do the whole year or reimbursement at the end of the year. Some way or another, it might be worth just kind of going through your committee and talking about. Bring it back, you know, with some ideas maybe.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? Do you have anything else, or is that the end of it?
That's what's on the board paper. I can basically wrap up our department, but if we don't need to, we can make a move right now.
I don't make any difference.
I'm just saying, like, I'll just go tell you a little bit, because we got like a back to school bash that's coming up. We're doing sponsorships for back to school bash. We're going to be asking the different departments to help us out with that. The back to school bash is going to be for kids that's in the city and the county. We're going to try to make it really, really big. We're going to try to give out backpacks, pencils, crayons, highlighters, markers, shoestrings, socks, toothbrushes, everything you could think of. We're going to try to give out to kids. We're trying to get enough to give out to at least 200 to 500 kids. So we're going to be asking, we're coming to a sponsorship form right now that we can give out to each department or whoever wants to in the different cities, different businesses in the city to try to help us out with that. That's our back to school bash that we have going up. I was going to say we were going to have Ryan here, but Ryan drew the short straw. He's our new coordinator, and he has to work till 9 o'clock tonight. So I'll let him get the morning kind of off a little bit. He came in fast and furious. Softball wrapped up. Adult softball is wrapping up. Working on Kiwanis Park. And Don Davison with collapse of pipes out there, getting those squared away, or at least having someone come in and look at those. Kids Park repaired, Don Davison repaired. We had a fish rodeo that came up. We had 222 kids there, not including parents. Our glow party, we had 198 kids at the glow party a couple of Fridays ago. We have a luau party that's coming up that's coming up Friday that we've talked about. You guys absolutely blessed us with the chemical leveler, and the chlorine tabs and the water leveler. That has all been put in. We just moved over to the tabs using those. But when we have 4 steps forward, there's going to be 2 steps back. Yesterday we had, well, let's say Monday, we had a couple of incidents at the pool where kids had scratches on their back. So we had to shut the slide down yesterday. Come to find out that after they walked up backwards and walked down, where I guess the pool was a different color previous. Not the pool, the slide was a different color previous, and then it got painted, where that paint in between the cracks is all peeling up, and so it's scratching kids' backs up, so we had to shut the slide down. We called the gentleman who put the pool in. He gave us a number to a gentleman who did the slide. he's no longer in business and doing that, so we're trying to find someone who can look at that sliding board and check it out, as well as we've realized that when the sliding board, if you can stand there, not myself, but if you can stand there and shake the sliding board, it shakes. So it's some little things that we have to get looked at about the sliding board right now. That kind of popped up yesterday. My guys wanted to thank you, the committee, for the new mower. They were absolutely excited, and everybody wants to jump on that new mower, so thank you guys for squaring that away for us. Bathroom repairs and upgrades. Hopefully you guys have seen the new toilet paper dispensers we have out there, paper towel dispensers we have out there. We have new toilets coming. Looking at, we're painting it out there, making it a little bit brighter. We're putting new lights out in all our bathrooms, as we're trying to do right now, going about that process to make it a place where you absolutely want to use the restrooms, and it's not a dungeon. Our new classes, of course, we have Dance to Fit. Had about 50 people in there Tuesday. It's when they going, they're rocking. They're rocking. You got to close doors because they're in there enjoying themselves. So hopefully you guys can come out. Actually, I believe they have it tomorrow, so you guys come out and check that out. Yoga is on Thursdays. They're having about 20 people, 15, 20 people averaging there. Water aerobics will be starting on the 20th, and that'll be Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. So if you can see, our classes are picking up. We have a lot of people who are coming in wanting to do classes. If you come in our facility on a Thursday evening, you will not get a parking space. You would not get a parking space. You're probably going to have to park in the grass. You're going to have to park somewhere at our facility other than a parking space on Thursdays, because we are so packed out there in the evenings. So this right here is what we're trying to do every single day. We're working on a calendar and a schedule right now to pass out to everybody for people can have when they come in the facility, as well as we took and put a board outside, so when you don't even have to come in the door no more to see what we got going on. It's right there on the wall, and you can see what's going on. So it's right there, quick. You don't even have to come and talk to us. We want you to come and talk to us, but if you don't want to, it's right there. Get out of your car, check it out, get back in your car. So that's what we're doing right now. We have some solutions to Kiwanis Park. We're thinking about how to increase our parkings for those days that we're absolutely packed. We're planning new programs and events. Talk about lifeguard. I have on here what's happening. Back to school bash, like I said, we're trying to do that on August 7th. I believe, I have the little flyers right here. So it's August 7th that we're going to do that right there for our back to school bash. Fall sports. Ryan's worked on that. We're going to have fall baseball, softball, soccer, and we're trying to put together flag football right now. So we're going to be popping this fall. So y'all be ready. Hopefully we'll see everybody out there. We need some more coaches. We'll get Mr. Hill out there to coach a couple of things, flag football. Let's say the recreation, we're also trying to put together a recreation events council. That's just going to be for our sports, for our special events that we're going to have. And the programs we're going to have all year round. We're also working on a sports council as well to help us out with that, so we can pull from those people. We're just kind of doing that by different people that we have seen that have a big, huge connection to our sports in the city. So around the county, that's what we're trying to do right now. So that's what I have for you. I do have these little flyers. If you guys want one, you want one? Just make sure you guys get one. I believe you got one already?
I think I did at the committee meeting.
These are just the small ones for our back to school bash.
I think I got
You
one.
got one?
Yeah, thank you.
So that's all we got.
Mayor Wisnett, do you have any questions or any comments for Mr. Thompson?
Just that I think that it's a good thing to look at the bumping up the lifeguard pay. We are behind our surrounding communities as far as the pool in regards, and also I like the idea about the reimbursement, looking at that down the line. Just excited for all the activities that are going on. I will say, a lot of times we get complaints in our community about not keeping up with the cycle of cutting city properties or weed eating or that type of thing. I'm up in Cincinnati. I've kept a good look here the last week on city properties downtown and outlying areas, and they're not doing a very good job up here cutting grass or weed eating, or I haven't seen anybody from any public works out doing anything. So I commend us, all our departments, for what they do and when they do it. And people have to understand, sometimes when you get the rain cycle going, that grass grows fast. So we just try to stay on top of it as soon as we can. So I thank Mr. Thompson. And I will say to Mr. Collins, who I can't see, we still need to get those lights fixed out in that parking lot outside the pool area, because when we come out at night, that parking lot is dark.
Yeah, we kind of worked on that. We're trying to get LEDs out there. but those lights are so old. Actually, if you walk out there right now, it's fairly dark out there. Well, not right now, but in the evenings, there's at least 5 bases that have been covered up with cones or just have been knocked over, where I guess there used to be lights there, but now they're just the bases there because someone's knocked them over and they haven't plugged in. So we're trying to figure out, Jason's working on trying to see what we can do to get poles in there, the price it's going to cost to get LEDs around the whole facility, as well as in front of the pool, as well as on the track, because we have a lot of people who have complained about lights around the track, and we're trying to get that squared away. So I appreciate you.
It might be of interest to you. We're looking at paving the lot down at Stonebridge Park. A lot of it all behind the old crab plant.
Yes, sir.
And originally, we talked about that would be in the recreation budget because it is recreation, but in Public Works, our last meeting, we agreed in Public Works, if it's okay with everybody, I'm sure it's going to be, and I know it's going to be okay with you, that Public Works will fund that out of their funds, not recreation. Because that's going to be a fairly expensive.
Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Eddie. That's nice of you.
That's going to be a fairly expensive paving project. And also, we're going to put some lighting out there. We're going to get some real lighting out there to where it'll be safe for people to use that parking lot after the paving's done. So that will not come out of recreation's budget. That will come out of the general funding for paving.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir. Appreciate that.
I don't have anything else, but all we have to do is, this lifeguard pay and reimbursement does have to go to Depot Dome. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
All right. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they're talking about doing back pay on that too. A little bit of back pay, is that right? Is that, we change it to $9 an hour, or is that just going to start? We change it? Not
As far as I know, that's what the
not
plan
going back,
was to
okay.
go
All right.
effective once the board votes on it going.
Start at that time, okay.
Yes, sir.
So we'll carry that on to Tuesday night. And also this budget line item for seasonal and part-time employees.
Yes, sir.
Is going to have to be set up, so we need to carry that on to Tuesday night. Is that all right with everybody? It does need to be set up to go through the board, right?
It will basically be adding positions.
Okay. So in order to do that, we need to carry that on.
Yes, sir, Vice Mayor, if I may just summarize. For the lifeguard pay and reimbursement, we're projecting it to be $2,000 for the pay, $1,400 for the reimbursement for training and certification. And then for the 2 positions, 1 seasonal maintenance, 1 part-time center attendant, that comes to $24,720. So with the board's permission, we'd like to make round numbers and do $25,000 for the part-time and seasonal, $3,500 for the lifeguards.
Okay, just be sure and have all that to where we understand it using that. All right. Anybody else say anything? Thank you.
All right, just want to make sure you guys remember too that July is Parks and Recreation Month. So get out in your parks, come by the Recreation Center, enjoy Parks and Recreation, all right? Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, we're ready for planning and codes. Christie Gentry.
Good morning.
Morning.
The first item that we have is we need to call for a public hearing on rezoning 615 Maple Street West from an R2 to a C3. This item came out of Planning Commission and was recommended up to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Mr. Craig Carmichael owns this property, and it's located right across from the old hospital, to give you an idea of the location. And his intent is to get it rezoned so that he can open a funeral home. We would call for the public hearing at the July meeting and then hold the public hearing at the August meeting. Of course, after the public hearing is called for, we will send out packets, do our property owner letters for the surrounding properties. I always work with Mr. Hill on that part of things. We've already got our ad ready to be placed into the paper for advertisement, and then of course it will be on the website.
Any comments or questions on Harmon?
Yes, please. I sit on the planning committee, and this came out of our committee, and I had a couple of questions. One was as far as parking. The way this property is laid out, there appears to be little or no on-site parking, but that's things that would be addressed after it's called for a public hearing, is the way I understand it.
Yes, ma'am. We'll be supplying a packet with that information to the board, and then Mr. Carmichael will also come and speak at the public hearing for his intent for the property and the potential rezoning. And then, of course, the public hearing will be had for other comments through the community.
That was kind of one of my concerns for law enforcement. Neighbors complaining, if he doesn't have a set parking area for a funeral home, are they going to be parking in the street? You know, I could see that being a potential problem unless he has something, you know, set up otherwise with that.
Well, I can tell you, May, that there's areas around and potential agreements with other property owners across the street at the old, and this is just a guess, because he spoke with me about it, or we talked about it, for permission to park there. And he has some land that goes north of him that he's looking at as well. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, that's good. And that did come up in the committee meeting about, you know, possibly parking across the street at the old hospital. And so I think he is working on that. But if that doesn't come through, I could just see that maybe being a problem. But maybe he can work it out and get parking situated. So I think he's trying to do everything the correct way.
Yes, ma'am. I know he's already out in the community in that area talking to people. So there will be recognition that this was, you know, potential rezoning could come through and his intent for the property.
Okay, and so this month, the only thing we're voting on is to go ahead for the public hearing, that's all?
Calling for a public hearing, yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
No.
I'm good.
We'll ask one question before moving on, because
Yes.
we call the public hearing late, because everything is done afterwards. During the public hearing. From R2 to C3, is this, is zoning around this property? Is it zoning around this property already C3 or R2? What is it?
The old hospital,
That's across the street.
right across the street.
What about the property behind it on one side?
Those are still R2s. The reason why he can come forward is because of that connectivity to the property across the street in the
So
hospital.
that's not considered spot zoning?
No, sir. No, sir. Because it would still connect on the zoning map to that. Yes, sir.
Mayor Wisnet, you have anything on this? Any questions?
No questions. I will say that I understand Alderman Hartman's concerns and Alderman Small and I on the Planning Commission. We discussed parking and we did ask Mr. Carmichael if he had been speaking to surrounding neighbors due to the recent public hearing we had, because, you know, it is residential behind it. Currently, it has been a couple other businesses, has not been used as residential, so, but those concerns are valid. That's my only comments.
All right. Is it okay to carry this on?
Yes.
No objections? All right. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I do want to, we do have a job vacancy in the Planning and Codes Department for property maintenance inspector. We're seeking someone to join our team. Tom and I are trying to keep up with all of the issues. It is grass season, but we're working hard to maintain and to take care of the complaints that come in. But a job application can be picked up here at the municipal building along with the job description, and any questions you can call our office at 433-2565. We'll be happy to answer those questions. And the tourism section of the website is up. We are getting visitor guide requests from that. We've had it from 6 states and as far away as California. So I know that Mr. Chandler did a great job getting that information up for us. There's a couple of things that we need to update because a couple of things have changed, a couple of the restaurant names, things like that, but we're trying to get those updated through IT and planning, and but it is working, and we hope that you'll go and visit and see what they did with it.
I've been on there, it looks good.
Thank you.
I got on there and got confused kind of, and found that straightened me out, but anyway, I figured it out. It looks good.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Oath of office, we got oath of office for Christian Gentry. We'll have to take that to the board, we'll have to take that to the meeting to do it. Not anything to vote on, but I mean, it's just something we have to do. Everybody okay with that? Anybody else got anything? Ms. Gentry, Mayor, you have anything else? You have anything else for us?
No, sir.
All right. All right, moving right along. Zach Sibley, IT.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
No items to bring forward this meeting cycle. Just want to touch on what's going on with IT. We repaired Human Resources computer. It's darn need of a tune-up. We replaced the hard drive, put it on a solid state, running much better. Lucas set up another iPhone for Parks and Rec, their new program coordinator. I've prepared quotes for the big computer upgrade coming up. We've got 16 machines that we're planning to bring in. I've attached the quote down at the bottom of my report. It is outdated. I've since then created another quote last Friday, and it's at 17.1 instead of 16.8 here. Bought a couple random things to fix. The biggest thing was had to get a new audio amplifier for the police department. The amp in their training room went out, so I replaced it with the same model that was previously installed. Other than that, the biggest thing I've got coming on is once we're done with our BMA next Tuesday, I plan to finally have the email change happen where we're going to switch from Fayetteville TN to cof-tn.com.
I'll be seeing you.
I'm sure you will. And after that, I hope to be done with messing with emails. But other than that, I have nothing. Do you have any questions for me?
I'm only, you have anything?
I was only kidding. Mine's fine. You're doing great, thank you.
I'm good.
Mayor, do you have anything for?
No, thanks.
I think you one that made it pretty good today.
Yeah.
Hey, you lucky, everybody I've got's working pretty good.
That's good. That's good, as long as you're happy.
I switched phone carriers, had to get my son to come do it. But anyway, I'm not a high-tech person, but I'm glad we have. I will say this, it's obvious with all of this malware thing going on, and getting hit with all Russian people and all this. Right now, it's a $70 billion thing for a lot of companies, so let's just do everything we can to keep our self-protected.
Slowly trying to work on our backup situation. Previously we would back up between 5 to 10 machines, the critical stuff. Now me and Lucas are thinking, let's try and back up every machine, and that requires us upgrading our storage. We need a lot more storage for that, so we're just in the background trying to figure out what the best plan to do is there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Looks like we got finance coming up with Stacy Roselle.
The only agenda item that Finance has this month is a budget amendment for the city school system. It's just some of their year-end work, moving money around from one expense to another and one revenue account to another. Ultimately, it appears to be a zero effect on their bottom line.
Okay, this will have to go to the board.
Yes.
Any objection to that?
No.
Okay, with that going to the board?
Yes.
Move right along.
And as far as, I just have our normal updates, our local option sales tax came in just below 300,000 for the month. So we are projected for the fiscal year to hit a 3 million mark on local option sales tax, which will be an all-time high. Before this year, the highest year we have on record was in FY20 at approximately 2.7 million. Other than that, we're running wide open, getting ready for year-end and audit.
That it?
That's all I've got. You got questions for me?
On the
No.
department?
No.
Mayor, you have anything for Ms. Lozelle?
Just glad the option sales tax is coming in so well. Be interesting to see when we get, like July's numbers, because a lot of people have been out of town on vacation and stuff, to see if that still goes high or it dips. Besides that, good job.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're ready for administration, and Mr. Scott Collins he's got some items here to cover, and he can start number one item.
Vice Mayor, before I do that, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Kristen Ray and ask her to come forward to the podium. Kristen is our new HR generalist.
Okay.
And we'd like her to just tell a little something about herself to the board.
Okay.
Hello. I think I've met all of, or most of you. Sorry, this is kind of this morning. I received my bachelor's last summer through University of Phoenix. I have a bachelor's of science with emphasis in human resource. I had been working for a foster care agency for 5 years, doing their human resource office manager type duties. But I am happy to be here and to help you all out. So I hope to see you all.
Happy to have you.
Just one tiny question for my clarification. A generalist? HR generalist?
Yes, that is.
That's official?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Names change?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any comments? Or Mayor, you have anything?
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Collins, you move along.
The first item for the board's consideration, sir, is the memorandum of understanding between the city and city schools regarding the dome project. In essence, it states that the city schools will handle all the project with the city's blessing. And there's a copy of it on your iPad.
So we need to take action on this, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This needs to move on Tuesday night. Is there any objections to this moving on? Any questions? Mayor, you have anything?
Well, I asked our city attorney to look at it. Mr. Hill, does it look good?
I don't have any problem with it. Okay.
Okay.
Now, yes, all the funding for this project is coming out of the city school system. We just have to handle it basically because the city school system belongs to us. It belongs to the citizens, really. So all the funding is really coming out of their budget. So we'll be moving that on to Tuesday night, put on the agenda. All right, number two.
Number two is the recommended architect agreement from the city schools to have the authority to enter into the agreement between the owner and architect. Now, we did enclose an email from Eric Jones, who is the project coordinator for the city schools. And it did name Eric as the owner's representative. Project management, it names Greg Kennedy, Brodus and Associates as the architects. And then talks about the 8% established by FEMA and TEMA for the architect fees. So all that's included in this agreement, and the city schools recommend that we ratify it on their behalf.
And again, that's all the funding for this is not our budget, that's city school budget. Is everybody okay with moving this on to Tuesday night? Any objections? Mayor, you have any comments on this?
I looked at that document. I noticed when you go scroll all the way down and look at the total match by the city, it looks larger than what they originally talked. But Mr. Jones told me that is kind of the best case scenario if they did everything. They may not do everything on that list.
Right.
So, but no, it's a good document. It's fine.
Okay. Mr. Hill, have you looked at all of this? You're good with all of it?
I really haven't, Vice Mayor, but I will if I have any concerns, I'll share.
if you see any problems, just get with the Cisco system. So we'll move this on to Tuesday night to act on. The next item is number 3, Mr. Collins, if you'll go ahead with number 3.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. There was a conversation regarding modifying our sick leave policy. At this time, we're only allowed to donate 8 hours to a fellow coworker, and I've included on the iPads numerous sick leave policies that MTAS has researched in the past, and right after the MTAS memo, I put the City of Elizabethton's transfer sick leave policy. And I would like for the board to give it serious consideration for modification. One thing we would like to ask on number 3 on the iPads, it states that no employee may transfer more than 80 hours in any one calendar year, nor shall any transfer take place that would reduce an employee's accumulated sick leave below 240 hours. We would like to modify the 240 hours down to 160 hours. By current policy on annual vacation leave, we're allowed to carry over 4 weeks, 160 hours. And so we'd just like it to mirror the sick leave donation policy minimum. We'd like it to mirror the annual leave policy.
I don't see that this would cost the city anything. No, there's no cost to the city of this at all.
And completely voluntary from employee to employee.
It would take a change, it would have to change the policy handbook.
Yes, sir.
Would have to do that, so. All right.
I just see this, like I said, see this as a good idea for employees to help each other when someone has a devastating illness or something, and there can help them through their financial strain at that time. And one question I might have is if, say, a department head decided to donate time to an employee that would be rated at the time, your hours will equal more than the employees, and that will be
Right now, if the department head donates 8 hours to the entry-level person, it's paid out at 8 hours at the entry-level person's pay.
So at the rate that he makes, it wouldn't impact any of that?
No, prorate based on the rate you currently earn.
There's been accounts set up for that.
But then, as you say, on the flip side, if the entry-level person donates 8 hours to the department head, it's not at the $10 an hour rate, it's at the $30 an hour rate.
Okay, I just needed to understand that some places do it that way.
Where I came from, we had a sick leave, we called it sick leave bank. You have to be very careful and have policies in place that people do not take advantage of others. I think it's good that employees would be willing to help each other, but there can be problems. So there definitely needs to be an account set up, and these hours donated and be designated. It must be catastrophic. It can't just be you know, I've got a headache, I'm not feeling well. It's got to be something serious because you can get into real trouble with this. So I would like to see the policy, us read over it, make sure that everybody understands it before we put it into place. You know, not rush into this. I think we need to really take our time, and personnel and finance look at it. Department heads, see if they have some potential issues that they may see or want to be addressed. So
I would think human resources could help us out a lot with that, because I'm sure you come up on that a lot. Have you not, Christy?
Is there something we can get done this month? Because there's a situation employees fix to be out of time.
We have a current situation going on, so it's pretty serious. So what I think we might could do, we got a lot of expertise here, and a lot can get done. A lot can get done in 2 or 3 days. You can really put your mind to it. Might want to think about this, Scott, and decide if you can put together enough for the board to take a good hard look at before Tuesday night.
Pending the
And
policy.
if we're not satisfied with it Tuesday night, we'll just put it off.
Vice Mayor,
You
we
can't
can
get-
have you a City of Fayetteville proposed policy by Tuesday night easily.
If you can't get it, by Tuesday night, you can't get it to work. If you can't get it to work, we're comfortable with it by Tuesday night, we'll just do a motion to it. If we have to,
For
if
that
it comes to
time.
a vote, postpone. If it gets a vote second, and in that way, it'll cover your concerns, and everybody's concerns. Is that okay? And the only reason I'm saying that is I would automatically just say put it off another month. But we do have a pending situation right now that's pretty serious. Alderman Oliver, you had any comments on this?
I'm okay with that, I'm good.
Mayor Wisnett, you had any comments?
My only concern was I wouldn't want employees feel like they were pressured, they would have to, give up, I wanted everybody to be comfortable with it, so I understand the situation Mr. Plunkett's talking about, we gotta make sure it's right too.
And two, if we go ahead and act on it Tuesday night, but there's some loose ends that don't get tied up just good enough, and we come back tie them up. We
And
come back and revisit.
And confidentiality is a must on this policy, because people start talking and they wag their tongues, and then that's where you get where people feel intimidated, or they feel like, well, you're just a sorry person because you didn't help out. That might not, you don't know what their situation is at home.
Right.
So confidentiality is a must on this.
We'll move on with it till Tuesday night if everybody's okay, but that being said, if we take action Tuesday night, and there's still enough concerns that it needs to be tightened up with more restrictions or rules or whatever, we can still go ahead and do that. We can do whatever, we can still go ahead and address that. That's okay with everybody.
I'm a little worried, it might be tough with the wording, like you were talking about, with somebody saying it has to be this instead of that. Can you write something like that in, that it has to be, it can't just be you're not feeling good or got a headache, like Donna said? I think that would be hard to say you can use it for this, but not that. I mean, is that an issue you see? Like she was saying, for more serious stuff, is when it would be donated.
That'd be hard to say that I'd ever seen anyone, even in worst case scenarios, misuse anything like that. That's kind of.
I have.
Well, ooh.
Well, I mean, we were a large employer, so we saw a lot.
We were too, but I've never seen anybody abuse it to that point. Most of the people had ended up, and of course anything can happen, end up on the FMLA and in dire straits. So.
Yeah.
We've got two people to speak right now, Mr. Collins first.
The language that we're going to be proposing to you all, I'll just go ahead and hit some of the highlights.
Okay.
The transfer policy is voluntary. Employees desiring to transfer sick leave to an eligible
Can you hold on
employee.
just a minute?
Yes.
It's on your iPads. If you can scroll down to Elizabethtown, you can go ahead.
I've got it.
I just want to stress, number one, the recipient must be under the direct care of a licensed physician due to a diagnosed long-term injury or illness. So that eliminates, somebody just having a bad day and not wanting to come in.
Okay, good deal.
And that's all I wanted to comment on, Vice Mayor.
All right. You had something? That very well covers it. Okay. All right, we'll move forward with it. Is everybody okay? If it's not, if we don't feel good about it Tuesday night, there's ways we can handle that. If we pass it Tuesday night, and there's still some loose ends that need to be tied up, we tie them up. We tie them up, we'll take care of it. And I appreciate you bringing all that up. I got one more thing, Mr. Collins, if nobody has anything else on this. It's an easy one. We talked about in there Public Works. We've got a project been going on for a while, Lee Jones. And we talked about in our Public Works, and our question came up, is cost escalating on Lee Jones? And Mr. Collins gave us a number, gave us a thing up front, and then he came back later, sent an email and clarified it, which I appreciate that. But you said that you was going to address that in this meeting.
Yes, sir. I told you all it was under $1 million, that it was around 940,000. But when I went back and reviewed and did some more addition, actually the projected cost that TDOT has concurred with is $1,078,059. And I want to clarify that I'm sorry I misspoke at the Public Works Committee meeting.
Okay. So, I'm not even gonna comment on that. No need, I mean, that's just, we are where we are on that situation. There's no one that's associated with the city doing anything about this. We've done all we can do. Everybody's done everything they can do to associate with the city. This is outside of our control. But you have anything else?
I have two more quick issues, sir. Number one, we need to have on the agenda the oath of office for Administrative Director Pam Gentry. And the second item I would like to touch on, Director Christie touched on the celebration of independence. Mayor Wisnett made some comments about it. But what I wanted to stress, that all started right there at that table with the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, you all authorizing us to organize and host that celebration, and we're just thankful for the opportunity and hope to continue to grow it bigger and better.
I did have a question on that, not negative in any way. When we started this, we had, if I remember right, we had different companies and all that had cost of that, right?
Yes, sir.
Do we still have that, or we doing it all on our own?
This year, coming out of COVID, we did it all on our own.
Yeah.
But there's already discussions and plans to have major sponsors next year.
That would be good for the sponsors. I mean, that's good advertising.
Yes, sir. I went to Tullahoma to watch what they proclaim as a regional celebration. And now their music and sponsors was very impressive. Their fireworks, we're probably at 80% of what they shot. So if we get a couple of sponsors, we might take that mantle from them.
Right. If you missed it, is all I have to say. You missed a spectacular show.
Well, I was sitting in my house.
I was in the trees. I was social distancing. But it was fantastic.
You have anything else?
No, sir.
We are at the end of the meeting. I don't have anything else. We're down to word. Mayor, do you have anything else before we close?
I just want to thank you, Vice Mayor, for running the work session, working finance, and earlier in the week. And good job, good efficient work session, illustrating we have a lot of things that we're working on in a positive direction.
All right, I will. My closing comments is, and I'm not going to ask any more comments because I think we've all had plenty of time. The only comment I have in closing is, we see here today that we have some major challenges ahead of us. We have challenges with infrastructure, we have challenges with equipment, we have challenges with request. I would just ask the board, and I know this board will, do due diligence to prioritize what we can do with the city's funding. Because we can only do a certain things with the city's funding and hold our fund balance to where it needs to be. If our fund balance is too low, we're in a problem with Nashville, state control. So I have full confidence in this board though, because this is a very, very financially fiscal board and really watches everything really close, and I appreciate that. Appreciate everything the board does in doing that. We are adjourned this work session today at 9:35. We are adjourned.